Hi, I'm Lana and I am Bapcare's very proud volunteer program partner. I'm responsible for 24 volunteer programs across the organisation that start from day dot when you're first born and you go into foster care, right through to end of life care with palliative care support. And we have everything in between. We have asylum seekers and refugees that we support through our community outreach and food bank. We have our parent mentoring program through our Home Start program in Bendigo and Macedon Ranges, retirement living and residential aged care.
Lana, and I'm Kate Harrop. I'm also very proud to head up our people and culture team at Bapcare. We're doing a lot of work to bring inclusion at all ages and stages of life. So not only in the people that we support, but also in the people that we encourage to come and join us. And our growth has been really astronomical in the last couple of years post-COVID, and it's testament to the work that Lana and the whole volunteer team do. So great to be here today. Thank you.
I'm going to jump straight into your questions, Bapcare. Since winning the award last year, what have been some highlights in your journey towards diversity within your volunteer workforce?
We've had an incredible journey, and it hasn't just been the last year. It's been, for myself, the last 4 years that I've been in the organisation. The quantitative data that's exciting is that we've gone from a $1.1 million social return on investment to $27.8 million with no additional resources. We've also increased our culturally and linguistically diverse volunteers from 5% to over 30%. Those people come from 35 different countries and speak up to 43 different languages. The qualitative data is where it pulls at the heartstrings and lets us know that we're on the right page. We have people that come to us not sure that they're ever going to be able to be employed, that go on to become employed. They become employed with our organisation and other organisations. We have an incredible youth program which is headed up by our business partner for volunteers, Brian Mooney. We have a recruitment and onboarding strategy that we co-designed with the ever-talented Marina Georgievsky, who is our talent acquisition lead. And we have our volunteer program coordinators. And the growth in them through embedding inclusive practices throughout our programs has been just the highlight for me. It really has. We've embedded cultural training for sensitivity and awareness training across the organisation, and we're really supported by our CEO and board, by our senior leadership team, of which Kate's a part of, and I'm so deeply proud. This work doesn't happen in a silo. It doesn't happen on even a medium-sized budget. It happens on a very small budget, and our people show up every day and do what they love. That banner out there isn't a marketing catch cry. They genuinely come and lead with passion, integrity and respect from people of all backgrounds. And I think that shows in both our qualitative and quantitative data.
Absolutely amazing. Final question. Have you noticed any unexpected benefits or changes in your organisation because of becoming an inclusive volunteering organisation?
I think the benefits are broad and vast, and expected and unexpected. It's the small things and the big things. So not only the demonstration of how we can measure and support our volunteers, but also the way that it builds our culture and engagement across the whole organisation. So we are very inclusive. We've got a lot of practice that we do that involves both our people that volunteer, that from the top down, as Lana's described, from our board and all the way through to our front line, but also that beautiful engagement that we have with the people that are vulnerable in communities at every stage. So the benefits are amazing and very rewarding.
Thank you, Bapcare. Thank you so much for your insights. I'm going to head over to Community First Responders. So if you don't mind introducing yourself and what you do at your organisation, please.
Hi, my name is Leon Landau. I'm CEO at Community First Responders Foundation, or Community First Responders Australia. I guess CEO is a bit of a title. So Gwen, who's over there, I guess we knew based on our emergency response backgrounds that there was a huge gap at the community level when it comes to literacy, health literacy, how to triage your own medical emergency, how not to be floundering when there's a medical emergency. We knew there was a gap, we just didn't realise how big the gap was. So when we started 2 years ago from zero, we've now trained over 7,000 people across the community, and the community is extremely broad, from women's health in the southeast to non-English speaking Italian and Mandarin speaking communities, Indigenous communities, rural communities, across the board. And we'd like to think, and we're getting pretty good feedback, that it is making a difference all the way from when an emergency occurs all the way until that emergency response arrives.
Amazing, thank you. And I'm going to throw the same question to you. You'll notice the theme, everyone's going to get this question. But since winning the award last year, what have been some of the highlights in your journey towards diversity within your volunteer workforce?
So by definition, our mission is building community and saving lives through response. So diversity is embedded in our mission, and diversity and inclusion and those groups and those individuals who have the greatest barriers are what we seek. And a barrier can be, I guess this is what we learned, it doesn't have to be religion or culture or rural, or each one of us has our barriers to emergency care, and each one of us has our barriers to community. And so some highlights. So we've trained our 7,000 people. We now have just almost 1,800 Good Sam 000 cardiac arrest responders across the state. So we now, starting from zero, we now represent about 10% of Ambulance Victoria's total Good Sam pool, and that community of responders are inherently diverse. I guess probably the highlight, or the highlight session that we had, was about a month ago, where we'd done, I think it was our 4th joint or collaboration with the Afghan Bakhtar community in Dandenong. And we got a grant from Bayside to run a session to establish a cardiac arrest response team. And we advertised it all the way from Dandenong to Malvern and everywhere in between. Instead of getting our usual 20 to 30 to a session, we had 65. The group was comprised of Anglo golfers to kids, to grandparents, to Afghanis, to Sikhs, to Muslims, to Jews, Russians, Italians, all of them in one group, learning to save lives and become cardiac arrest responders. So it was an absolutely incredible and incredibly empowering session, and I guess that was probably the highlight of the year. A couple more. So we've attended 300 community events as first aiders over the year. We've set up some pretty strong collaborations. So with the Franchise Council of Australia, Bowls Victoria, Women's Health in the South East, SMJFL, so very broad and powerful community-minded organisations that are helping to expand the reach. Councils have been amazing, so I guess it started during COVID, because COVID seems like there was a lot of negative to COVID, but there were actually some quite incredible positives as well. And we have to call out Glenara Council. They were incredible during COVID, and since then 6 other councils have come on board. We've been running sessions across Bayside, Kingston, Dandenong, Surf Coast, Glenira, now Boroondara, hopefully reaching a lot further, running sessions ranging from seniors first aid and multilingual first aid and paediatric first aid sessions. New parents have babies. It's great, they go to birthing classes, but then from the day after they bring that baby home, they are totally disempowered when it comes to medical emergencies. Those sessions are filling, between 40 and 80 people per session. There's a huge hunger and demand out there for medical and health literacy, and we feel very blessed that we can be doing it.
Amazing. Now, Leon, before your final question, can I get you to move into more of the middle? You're getting a little bit lost at the end there. So there's a lovely seat here in the middle with your name on it.
It's because of my hair, isn't it? It's great.
Well, I don't know about that. I just think your smiling face needs to be in the photo, to be honest.
Go for it.
Excellent. And look, my final question for you, Leon, is how does your organisation ensure that your inclusive practices are for the long run?
How do you answer that? If we don't have inclusion, then our organisation isn't there. So our mission is to build community through response. Our target is people who have barriers. that basically includes everyone, because we all have our own barriers. So our success is inherently ingrained in our inclusion. But we are doing some practical things, like we're just establishing a advisory board that'll be made up of medical professionals, but as well as that, Indigenous representation, called community, cardiac arrest survivor representatives, when we're dealing with males, females, and everyone else. The idea is to have that advisory board as diverse as possible.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Leon. Can I ask if we can just pass the microphones over, please, to Maroondah Winter Shelter and MVC Boxing?
Oh, thanks.
There we go. Identify yourself. There we go. Excellent. And Maroondah Winter Shelter, I'm going to start with you. So could you please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what do you do at your organisation?
Hello everyone, I'm Scott and I'm a volunteer with Maroondah Winter Shelter. Special congratulations to everybody who achieved an award today, and particularly for those who achieved award for volunteering towards vulnerable communities. I think that's amazing, so well done. We are a volunteer organisation that focuses around local homelessness, and particularly homelessness with regards to rough sleepers, but have expanded out to advocacy for all kinds of homelessness in our community, as well as providing a meal program for socially isolated people as well.
Wow, what great work. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Since winning the award last year, what have been some of the highlights in the journey towards diversity within your volunteer workforce?
Yeah, it's lovely to know that we won last year. I was unaware of that.
Well, a round of applause. There we go. We're all about celebrating today.
Wow. The journey over the last year has been wonderful in lots of different ways for the homeless guests that we have the privilege of being able to care for, as well as for those who join in on our meal program for a variety of reasons. I think for me the highlight has been in engaging with the volunteers. There are thousands of people now in Maroondah who have volunteered for Winter Shelter, and it has significantly and noticeably changed the way the Maroondah community view homelessness, particularly rough sleeping homelessness in the area. Homelessness was regarded as an issue to be feared, and with good reason, people were very concerned about what an encounter with a rough sleeper might look like, whether it's somebody begging for money out the front of the shops, or whether it's somebody sleeping in a car park that you're trying to park in, whether it's somebody who is sleeping under the veranda of your business that you're trying to open up in the morning, or what it might be. An encounter with a rough sleeper can be a fairly intimidating thing. To provide a safe way for volunteers to be able to engage with the issue of homelessness, and then have some very meaningful outcomes where we see our guests after the period of time with us being able to get either short or long-term housing, to often be able to go into full-time employment, certainly for their well-being and mental health, as well as their physical health, improving dramatically. Seeing those changes has really changed the attitude, not just of the volunteers, but of their families and of the community around them. And we've seen noticeable differences to the way rough sleepers are viewed in the Maroondah area because of it.
Wow. And how are volunteers involved in the decision-making process at the organisation?
Well, there isn't a decision that's made by a non-volunteer, so they are completely involved. Everyone engaged volunteers with it. And look, we are not the solution to rough sleeping in Maroondah. Clearly, that is something that is going to involve politicians, it's going to involve policy change, it's going to involve a lot more affordable housing than what exists at the moment. But we are a response, and I think we're a very good response to rough sleeping in the area, and it's because volunteers are engaging in exciting but safe ways with the issue of local homelessness that I think is fantastic. Most of our volunteers have come into the program through word of mouth, and that's been really positive word of mouth. Most of our volunteers have then had encounters with rough sleepers that have been life-changing for them and for the guest in really significant ways. So those decisions then come out of those encounters, those positive encounters with rough sleepers in our area.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thanks
we
a
really
lot.
appreciate it. Moving over to MVC Boxing. Hello. Do you mind introducing yourself and letting us know what your organisation does?
Sure. My name is Caroline Nordio. I'm from MVC Boxing. So MVC Boxing is a non-for-profit sporting club in Maroondah City in Ringwood. My role is I chair the committee, or I'm like president of the committee. We have over 250 members, and we have a large volunteer base of around 27 trainers. So we are a boxing club, but we're not a traditional boxing club. We're very much about not only physical health, but wellness as well. And we work with all ages and all abilities. So we have kids classes right through to retirees coming in, and we work with all abilities as well.
Amazing. And can you, thank you. Yes, see, people listen, we said round of applause, lots of clapping today, lots of celebrating. Since winning the award last year, what have been some of the highlights in your journey towards diversity within that volunteer workforce?
Not only just winning the award over the last 12 months, but really over the last 20 years or so, we've been very diverse and inclusive in our community group. So, like I said before, we welcome everybody, but it's actually really good to see the good news stories. So when we have kids coming in that have been bullied, and we see them really grow leaps and bounds, and then they become quite confident in themselves. A really good news story was one of those actually became one of the kids' trainers. So they went from hiding behind a boxing bag to actually becoming a trainer and you know, shouting all the punch left, punch right. So in the kids' classes, but then we've also seen on the other side Parkinson's come in, where they've had very limited mobility, and through boxing and through training they've been able to move and get movement back, which has also been a really good benefit for them.
Yeah, what amazing impact that is. Can I ask you, how have you leveraged winning the award in 2024 to continue to build on those inclusive practices at your organisation?
Firstly, it was a really good recognition to all our volunteers at MVC Boxing, and it's also been a really good lift for them, because, as you would know, being volunteers, it can be a thankless task. But it's really good to see the community get involved as well, and we have that up on our door, and now we're going to have another one there too. So it really goes to show just how important volunteers are, but it's more important how the community of Maroondah benefit from actually walking through those doors.
Absolutely, it is. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. If we can just hand the microphones to Women's Support Incorporated and Mirrabah Community Garden, please. Excellent. So, Women's Support Incorporated, I'm going to start down there with you. And I love your smile. You're so happy and vibrant. I love it. Can you please introduce yourself to the room and tell us what your organisation does?
Sure. My name is June Anderson. Actually, Women's Support Incorporated is basically we support an American woman who is a survivor from the family and domestic violence, also the family issues. So, literally, we are a very diverse community, and we, all the volunteers, we are the grassroots and a very small organization. Every single one are volunteers, basically, and our fundings, all through our own fundings, we go to the Bunny's barbecues and we go to the fundraising, so that's our get to support for the communities. So that's where we are.
Excellent. So if you see them, please, at Bunnings, 5 or 6 sausages at least. Okay, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Since winning the award last year, what have been some of the highlights in your journey towards diversity within your volunteer workforce?
Yeah, surely. Basically, we are normally we support, in all diversity, different in the communities. So for example, we last year in September we supported it's an old lady who is an 88 years old lady, was kicked out by the son and the daughter-in-law, and basically, so she became homeless. And we linked, and we used basic community service to apply for, and 3 weeks, shelter for Sovereign Asian Armies. So we basically linked all different organizations to support. I think it's one, small organizations. Basically, we need to have use all the, and the community grassroots and to help each other. And basically, also we have other volunteers. We started to raise the fundings, and we give to the lady, and we funded that's the public housing for her. And then from every single thing, from chopsticks and from the rice cooks and from white goods and from beddings, from everything, all from us. So we all, different communities and the support to chip in. We even paid the bond as well as paid 2 weeks rent for this lady.
Wow. What an example of taking something that's a real low light and turning it into something positive, because it's not just about the material aid that you've provided for that person. It's the sense of belonging and purpose and connection that you've given her as well. That's an incredible story, an absolutely incredible story. My final question, since winning the award, what improvements have you seen at your organisation? And I think you've already mentioned one, the fact that you now have a village of other organisations that you can call upon and work with. But is there anything else that you've noticed improving?
Yes. And literally, all the volunteers, basically, we support all different people. But I found very, very rewarding is they are become all volunteers. We support those people, and if they have NDIs or or have some family issues, but because they see we all and service above yourself. Basically, we have selfless people, and so therefore. They are really moved. They want a part of organization. So therefore, we have more volunteers and then, and before, and we're all different nationalities, basically from Africa communities, and some are Indians, some are Philippines, from, Malaysia, the Singapore, and Japanese, and Koreans. So we very diversified, and basically, if the language barriers, or if there's anything we need help, then we all have the resources. So, and also we have one example, we have supported one that's the survivor from domestic violence, who is a lecturer from former one of the universities, right? And, she was, when she came into our organization, basically, she was really, really diminished all her basically her confidence and everything. So through our mentor and the different, programs, and she now back to, and even though sit up with some volunteer and the board member. So it's just to give them, have a confidence and basically, and regain, the self-esteem. So they're able to contribute to the community and the society more.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing those stories with us. I think storytelling is a really powerful method of communication. So thank you so much. I'm going to throw over to Mooroolbark Community Garden. Hello, how are you? Do you mind introducing yourself and what your organisation does, please?
Hi, my name's Tracy Langridge and I'm the treasurer at Mooroolbark Community Garden. We are a fledgling. We're a baby in a lot of ways compared to some of these incredible organisations. We've not even achieved our second year in the garden, and it developed because of COVID. All of us were stuck at home, not stuck, but there, and had to find something to do. And it put a fire under a group of people who said, a combination of food security, connection, community, companionship, all of those things were lost for a while, and that's why our organisation started. Also too, food is what everybody wants, needs, but not everybody has the skill and the ability to grow for themselves. And unlike some community gardens, we're not plot-based. all of our beds are open to and available to anybody within the community. So if someone walks past and goes, I need some parsley for my meal for dinner, they can pick it and take it home with them. So there's nothing to prevent our community from being involved in the garden, whether it's picking from it, whether it's planting in it, whether it's helping out with some of our bed preparations. It doesn't matter what it is in the community garden that can be done. Anybody can be involved in that. And we work on the principle that nobody is unwelcome. We're not closed in any way. There's no fencing. 24 hours a day you could walk into the garden. But also too, the garden has a early learning centre. We want to bring the children in via preschool and kinders to show them how to grow food, how to pick food, how their food doesn't come in a plastic bag.
Absolutely.
We also have disability organisations. We have schools, anything up to year 12 and younger. We have aged care facilities that come in. So what we're trying to do is embed ourselves in the community, and that's why we're called a community garden, because the community is welcome 24 hours a day. We, like some of the really small organisations, rely on the sausage sizzle, rely on running a community market once a month, that we have makers of artisan products come in, and that brings the community into the garden to see what the artisans have on offer, but it also gives us an opportunity to sell seedlings and to give people another opportunity to engage with us. Most of all, we're totally made up of volunteers. There's not a single person in the garden who doesn't come to the garden with that heart and desire to work with somebody else. And I really do believe that no matter who you are, being out in the fresh air, digging around in the garden, getting some dirt under your nails, seeing something grow. You know, all of us are attuned to, the growth of a child, but the growth of a plant and food is also so nourishing, not only to the body, but to the soul.
Absolutely, absolutely. Team, more sausages. This is going to be a common theme. We're going to be eating a lot of sausages to that answer. It feels like every day in the garden there are different highlights for different reasons. Why is it important to the garden and to you to win this award again in 2025 and to continue? And I feel you. I'm in a startup I'm in a charity that's very young as well. It's a learning curve. So why is it important to continue to be recognised, to continue to push those boundaries to inclusivity for you?
I think that a lot of us automatically feel inclusive. When we talk to people in our environment, in our work, in our family, we all include the people around us. But in the case of the garden, we have people who come to us who are doing their mutual obligation. And some of those people have become not a fringe dweller, but don't feel like they belong or they haven't got a place that they can go to and enjoy their day. And so when you've got somebody who is maybe older or has a disability who can't access the opportunity to be employed, they find a loss within themselves. But some of the people who've come to the garden, just sitting down and having a chat to them and them feeling like they're productive and involved, we've seen several of those people go on to employment, and it isn't necessarily to do with gardening. It's just that who they are and how they feel about themselves has elevated. And that elevation makes us feel good because we know that we've given them the compassion and the communication with other people to move forward. And we've had quite a few who had their mutual obligation requirement met, and they keep on coming back. And coming back shows us that nobody feels that they're not included, that they're not seen, and most of all, that it gives them that joy internally
Yeah,
to want to come back.
absolutely.